Hello, my name is Sharon Mary Ivanhoe
And I'm
McPhee.
Wayne Wasily, one of her dearest 55-year-old friends.
We are going to do interviews from my book, My Slag Valley Secrets. And what we're doing tonight is starting an introduction so that we can put you on track to show you what we're doing. First of all, I was born in Slag Valley,
So was I.
as was Wayne, and we grew up about a block away from each other. Not even a block, actually. It was over 2 streets. And I lived at 10126 Commercial Avenue.
And I lived at 10121 Escanaba, one block west of her.
And our families were raised together. Actually, all the families in Slag Valley were raised together. But there were certain codes of silence and certain codes of respect that there were levels where we lived. The levels that put us on a different level than any other neighbors that we had. Our families were different. Our families were involved in different, let's put, subjects that were taboo subjects. But we got along.
Slightly.
But we got along and we protected one another. And that's what we're here to talk about tonight. Wayne?
Yes, ma'am.
When your family was involved in, well, what did your family think of my family as far as who we were in the neighborhood? Let's start there.
That was non-spoken. We respected each other's families. Everybody in the neighborhood knew each other. We were all friends. None of us were perfect. No family's perfect. We had our good times, our bad times. We had our good sides and our bad sides.
But we stuck up for each other, and we watched out for each other
On a daily basis.
In our family, we had the aura of activities that were not allowed by the public, by the police. My mother was involved with different families that were involved with prostitution and the mafia, and they protected each other. But in which they thought was an active location, was not. We never had any prostitutes or abortions, or we lived like a normal family. We didn't have those things on my property, but the people in the neighborhood thought otherwise, and we were the outcasts.
Very true. Her family and my family together were both very highly well known and respected. And I grew up in a family with quite a bit of, on my father's side, very hardworking man, toughest son of a bitch I ever met, but he had his corrupt side, per se. Well known throughout our family name was well known for years. If you want to put it gently, it was on a, let's just say, back in the day, a tough-ass basis. Me and my two older brothers, and especially my father, yeah, there was quite a reputation.
I'll tell you what, when we needed trouble to be handled by people who, if my uncles weren't around, we would run over to Wasily's and they would be there in a heartbeat. We had people that threatened my mother, that came to our house and wanted to fight my brothers or even me. Definitely. I got my ass kicked a few times, but we would know that we can go to the Wasily house and get back up in a minute.
Her Uncle Bob was probably one of the greatest guys you could ever talk to. Very respected, very respectful. But somebody you did not want to play games with, because you would get a good ass whipping. That's simple.
Ass whippings
I mean,
happened.
we did not sit and take shit simply from anybody, her family or mine. It, that was the law of the land. And there was a couple of other families in the neighborhood that were labeled the same way. But in every neighborhood, as everybody should know, you have certain families and certain guys or certain women that have a reputation. And yeah, trust me, our families were pretty well known.
Okay, I remember having to have, to walk to school, to walk to grammar school. We walked all the way in the snow and the rain and sleet, and we didn't drive our cars, and we used to walk. And every place in the neighborhood that we stopped was a family situation where we'd go to the candy store. I mean, we call them grammar school. Candy store, ice cream store, local restaurants. Everybody had a favorite place to go, and everybody, just like any other neighborhood, the gangs were in '60s. We still had gangs,
Few and far between.
but they weren't the tough gangs that were evolved today. There were no guns. Actually, we're talking grammar school. High school is a different story.
When there was a problem, you would just solve it between the two of you, and 10 minutes later, you're sitting there playing ball together. Or as we got a little older,
That was
have a
grammar
drink.
school. Yes.
I mean, there was no 10-on-1 or no drive-bys. I mean, my mother used to walk the streets at 10, 11 o'clock at night for a nice casual stroll. She didn't have to worry about getting shot, getting raped, robbed, kidnapped. Nothing like today's days. It was just a tight-knit community scenario.
Yes.
It's just sad that America is not like that no more.
Well, back in our day, again, we have chapters we would like to go to. We would like to break down the chapters into different segments because it's going to take a long time to get to where we want you to understand as our readers. Part of growing up was understanding that we had a code of honor. And in that code of honor, you didn't step over the line. You didn't step on somebody's toes because you were warned. And after you were warned, if you didn't pay attention, the rules were very strict. You were either outcasted or dealt with. You were dealt with.
Ass whipped.
Your ass is whipped.
That's
right.
simple.
You were dealt with. So it's the same feeling you get from every other neighborhood. I mean, everybody grew up the same way, but here in our neighborhood, loyalty and dedication and honor was really respected. I mean, you had to have that. You had to toe the line.
That was all brought on by our parents.
Yes.
Called pure respect.
Absolutely.
These kids today have no respect for nobody or nothing. You stepped out of line, you got your ass beat by the police, and then when you went home, you get your ass whipped twice as bad by your parents.
Yeah.
Simple.
Or my Uncle Bob.
You
brought up Uncle Bob.
Uncle Bobby was nobody to play with.
Yes.
Nobody to play with.
So what we're going to do is take it a step at a time and take it a chapter at a time. And hopefully that you can follow us because we're going to do it.
We're talking about life in the farthest part of south side of Chicago that is notorious nationwide through media, more than likely anybody. It's simple. We were all friends. We all respected each other's families. Somebody needed help, we were there. Somebody needed, the car jumped or, house painted. We did everything for each other. It was a tight-knit little clique of people that to this day, amongst the ones we're all talking about, still remains. The only difference is it's a lot of years later and everybody feathers out in different directions. But when you run into them in a restaurant or a ball game or a bar, all we talk about is the old days because it was the best days of our life.
Yes, it was.
That's simple. I mean, none of us are invincible. We're all going to die. So when you run into old people that you haven't seen in a while, I mean, it's nice to rehash the old days.
And that's what we're going to do. We're going to do.
Exactly. And there was good times and there was bad times.
Yes.
You know, I mean, we all had our ups and downs.
Yes.
I mean, God only knows how much money I've spent in my life, and my family was poor. My brother and my two sisters, they made it high time. I struggled all my life. I worked construction. I had 3 of my own businesses. I owned racehorses. Had a lot of very serious individuals, but it's still, it's in the heart. It comes from the heart. Everything is still there. The old time, the way we were raised and taught to treat other people. To this day, I see friends. How you doing, sir? How you been, buddy? Today, people look at you like, fuck you. Well, no, that's how we were not raised that way.
Well, you know, we were raised differently because the times were different. And you know, we have to take that into consideration because we grew up in hard times. I mean, the steel mills and the life in Slag Valley wasn't easy. We worked hard. Our families worked hard. For every dime we got, families had to share food. Families had to share the good times and share the bad times. When my uncle got hurt, the whole neighborhood came to our support. But you know, those little stories that we want to get into. Let's
absolutely
take it a chapter at a time.
Yeah, exactly.
We have iron working days since you were an iron worker. You worked with all the local
carpenter, but I did do iron working. I did boiler making. I worked in several different trades. Had a couple of my own businesses. I owned racehorses for 30 years. I'm still involved in the game. Yeah, we earned what we got. And I started at U.S. Steel in 1972. I was making $2.39 an hour. They make $15 an hour today. Serve you hamburgers at McDonald's. But then again, gas back in our day was 28 cents a gallon, not $4.28.
Yeah.
So times change.
A lot.
But this conversation is about our old times and our families together.
Yes.
And believe me, our families were very, very tight.
Yes. Yes. We're going to get into the mafia stories, the abortion stories, the prostitution stories in our next chapter. Thank you very much for listening.
Love you, Sharon, and I'm looking absolutely forward to keep going with this because people are going to be a little surprised how just people from Chicago, yeah, it's a big city, but what we've been through out of 4 million people in Chicago for the last 50 years have no clue. But you will see it shortly.
Yeah.
That I promise.
We're gonna do.
And this is all
nonfiction.
This is all coming from the heart.
Yes,
and it's all true.
And we're not scripted. We didn't write a script.
This lady here has got proof of thousands of things we've been through, and you will see it.
Okay.
When she's done, buy the book.
Okay.
What's the name of the book, Sharon?
My Slag Valley Secrets.
Thank you, and we will see you shortly.
Okay. Have a good day.
Good night.